Fellow gardeners, I'm about to share a game-changing secret that will transform your raised beds from lifeless containers of dirt into thriving underground ecosystems teeming with earthworms. This ancient technique, known as trench composting, creates an irresistible underground buffet that draws earthworms from incredible distances while simultaneously building the richest, most fertile soil you've ever experienced. The best part? You're probably throwing away the exact materials you need every single day. Why earthworms are your garden's ultimate superpower. Understanding the incredible value earthworms bring to your garden will change how you view every scrap of organic matter that leaves your kitchen. These remarkable creatures are living soil factories, processing organic waste and transforming it into nutrient-dense castings that contain 5 times more nitrogen, 7 times more phosphorus, and 11 times more potassium than regular garden soil. Every earthworm in your garden is essentially a tiny fertilizer production facility working around the clock to feed your plants. The engineering work earthworms perform rivals any expensive soil improvement technique you could implement. Their constant tunneling creates an intricate network of channels that dramatically improve soil aeration, allowing plant roots to access oxygen in the deeper soil layers where most gardeners never think to look. These same tunnels function as natural irrigation systems, channeling water directly to root zones while preventing surface runoff and erosion. When earthworm populations thrive, your soil develops the perfect structure that retains moisture during dry spells while draining excess water during heavy rains. Beyond their physical contributions, earthworms serve as biological processors that accelerate the entire decomposition cycle in your garden. They consume organic matter and excrete it as castings that are immediately available to plants, eliminating the months-long composting process that normally occurs in traditional compost bins. This means nutrients from your kitchen scraps can be feeding your plants within weeks rather than seasons, creating a direct pipeline from waste to plant nutrition. So, creating an irresistible earthworm attractant really starts with understanding their dietary preferences and feeding patterns. Vegetable peels, fruit scraps, and coffee grounds, well, they form the foundation of the perfect worm feast because they decompose at different rates. That means you're providing both immediate nutrition and long-term food sources for your garden helpers. Now, potato peels, carrot tops, apple cores, and banana peels break down pretty quickly, offering fast-acting attractants that can bring worms to your burial sites within just a few days. Coffee grounds honestly deserve special attention in your worm-attracting arsenal because they provide both nutritional and environmental benefits that earthworms find absolutely irresistible. Used coffee grounds are just slightly acidic, which helps balance out alkaline soils while providing nitrogen that supports the microbial activity earthworms depend on. Plus, the fine texture of coffee grounds improves soil structure right away, creating the perfect conditions for earthworm movement and reproduction. Many successful gardeners have found that coffee ground burial sites actually become permanent earthworm colonies, and those spots keep attracting new populations for months. Yard waste materials create the carbon-rich component that balances your underground feeding system and provides the sustained nutrition earthworms need for long-term residence. Fallen leaves, especially when they're shredded or partially decomposed, offer complex carbohydrates that support beneficial soil microorganisms while creating the kind of layered habitat structure earthworms really prefer. And soaked cardboard pieces? They provide both food and shelter, breaking down slowly to create long-lasting worm havens, all while helping to suppress weeds in the areas above your burial sites. The materials to avoid are just as important as those you include, because certain organic wastes can create conditions that repel earthworms or attract unwanted pests. Meat scraps, dairy products, and oily foods decompose through anaerobic processes that create acidic, foul-smelling conditions that earthworms actively avoid. These materials also attract rodents and other pests that can disrupt your garden ecosystem and create ongoing management problems that far outweigh any potential benefits. Mastering the trench composting technique is, honestly, a game changer. The burial technique itself determines whether you create earthworm paradise or simply waste organic matter underground. Begin by digging trenches 6 to 8 inches deep and 12 to 18 inches wide, ensuring you penetrate below the active root zones of existing plants while creating sufficient space for proper decomposition. The depth is crucial because earthworms prefer feeding in the cooler, more stable soil layers below surface fluctuations, while the width provides adequate space for the organic matter to decompose without creating anaerobic pockets. Layer your organic materials in the trench bottom, mixing different types to create diverse decomposition rates and varied nutrient release patterns. Alternate between wet materials like vegetable scraps and dry materials like shredded leaves, creating a balanced environment that supports both rapid breakdown and sustained earthworm activity. Cover each layer of organic matter with 2 to 3 inches of soil, ensuring complete burial that prevents pest attraction while maintaining the moisture and temperature conditions earthworms require. Strategic spacing between burial trenches maximizes earthworm distribution throughout your raised beds while avoiding root disruption in established plantings. Create a rotating burial pattern that moves systematically across your growing space, allowing each trench site to complete its decomposition cycle before beginning new burials in adjacent areas. This approach creates multiple active earthworm zones that eventually merge into garden-wide populations, rather than concentrating all activity in single locations that may become overwhelmed or depleted. Moisture management makes the critical difference between successful earthworm attraction and disappointing results that leave you wondering why the technique isn't working. Earthworms require consistent soil moisture that resembles a wrung-out sponge, damp enough to support their skin respiration but not so wet that oxygen levels drop below their survival threshold. Monitor moisture levels weekly during establishment, adjusting irrigation schedules to maintain steady dampness without creating waterlogged conditions that drive earthworms away. Surface mulching over your burial sites creates the perfect microclimate that earthworms find irresistible while providing ongoing organic matter that extends their feeding opportunities. Apply 2 to 3 inches of organic mulch like grass clippings, shredded leaves, or straw directly over buried materials, creating insulation that moderates soil temperature fluctuations while retaining moisture during dry periods. This mulch layer also provides additional food sources as it breaks down, creating a multi-level feeding system that supports larger earthworm populations over longer time periods. Temperature stability in your burial zones really plays a crucial role in determining both earthworm attraction rates and their long-term residence patterns. You see, earthworms are most active in soil temperatures between 55 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. This makes spring and fall the optimal seasons for establishing new populations. Now, during those hot summer months, it's a good idea to focus your burial activities in shaded areas of your raised beds. Plus, you might want to increase mulch thickness to provide some cooling insulation. And don't forget, winter burial continues feeding established populations and prepares rich nutrition sources that will just explode with earthworm activity as soil temperatures warm in spring. Alright, let's talk about timeline expectations and population building strategies. Understanding realistic timelines for earthworm attraction and population establishment is key to maintaining your enthusiasm while your underground ecosystem develops. You see, initial earthworm scouts typically appear within 48 to 72 hours of burial, drawn in by the chemical signals released during those early decomposition processes. These pioneer earthworms create scent trails that guide additional populations to your feeding sites, kicking off the exponential growth phase that transforms individual worms into thriving colonies. Now, fresh earthworm castings become visible on the soil surface within 1 to 2 weeks of initial burial. This provides concrete evidence that your technique is indeed working, and earthworms are actively processing the organic matter you've provided. These casting deposits increase dramatically over the following month as earthworm populations multiply. Established residents invite additional community members through chemical communication systems that operate far more efficiently than most gardeners realize. Population boom phases typically occur 3 to 6 weeks after consistent burial practices begin. This is when earthworm reproduction cycles align with abundant food sources and optimal habitat conditions. During this period, you may observe dozens of earthworms in single shovelfuls of soil, along with extensive tunnel networks that dramatically improve soil structure throughout your raised beds. Maintaining regular burial schedules during this critical period ensures population stability and continued soil improvement benefits. So, this simple burial technique represents one of the most powerful tools available for transforming ordinary raised beds into extraordinarily productive growing systems. Start implementing trench composting today and prepare to be amazed by the underground transformation happening beneath your plants. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more revolutionary techniques that harness natural soil processes. Share this guide with fellow gardeners ready to discover the incredible power of earthworm partnerships.